Right, next up we've got the Christmas movies, and we'll start off with probably my favourite Christmas film, Home Alone. So this is a double pack that's got Home Alone 1 and 2 on it. Yeah, Home Alone is just, it's great. I think it's a perfect sort of Christmas movie. It's the best movie. It's the one I try and watch every year, and it's just so much fun. Like, Home Alone is a really interesting film because I think everyone just knows it for like the traps and all that and the ending bits, but there's so much more to Home Alone that I feel like the later movies sort of miss out on. Like, it's the heart of the movies. They miss out on the heart of the movies. That's why these movies are so good. And obviously, like, Macaulay Culkin, like, for how young he was, to be able to do so good in this role is really good. Like, you know, he's basically the only one on screen for most of the film, and he does really well. It's surprising how sort of great he was at that age, and of course it then all went sort of badly for him. But hey, he's good now, which is great to see. And obviously, Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern as Harry and Marv are just the best. Like, again, that's no reason why the other movies don't work, because Harry and Marv were just the best villains, and Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern just played them so well. Home Alone 1 is obviously great. Home Alone 2 I do like as well. Home Alone 2 is fun too. It's not as good as Home Alone 1. Like, you're better off just watching Home Alone 1. I do watch these two both every Christmas, but I think Home Alone 2 has still got its fun moments in it. I actually think the traps are just as funny in Home Alone 2. In fact, I think they might even be better in Home Alone 2. And obviously, Home Alone 2 has got Tim Curry in it, so that's 5 stars right there. But yeah, but yeah, seriously, like, these two are definitely my favourite Christmas movies. Don't watch the other ones. I mean, I've actually been doing it, like, for the last few years. I've actually been watching the Home Alone Christmas, like, Home Alone sequels. Like, every year I watch one of the sequels. Last year I watched Home Alone 5, which is just terrible. Home Alone 4 is just god-awful. And Home Alone 3 is actually not that bad. Like, I would actually go to bat for Home Alone 3 a little bit. Like, it's still not great, but compared to the other sequels, it's not terrible. But I look forward to this year where I finally get to end my stupid tradition by watching the Disney Plus one, which apparently is somehow even worse, which I didn't even know how that was possible. But yeah, just remember, these two are the best. These two are the only real Home Alone movies. Next up, another one of my favourite Christmas movies, Elf. I love Elf. Elf is so good. I'm actually not a big Will Ferrell fan. I actually find Will Ferrell's antics to be a little bit annoying sometimes. But I feel like this is the only movie where it works, because he's playing the elf. He's playing an elf. He doesn't understand like what. Basically, he is a bit like a big kid and that. But the reason it works here, unlike in something like, say, Step Brothers or like that Holmes and Watson, is that it feels like charming. Like, you actually like Buddy in this movie. He feels like a nice, like, I mean, that's it. He actually is a nice character. Where like in Step Brothers and that, he just becomes obnoxious and really annoying. But in this movie, like, you know, you actually like Buddy. He's actually really funny. You see that he actually wants to be nice. He actually wants to be a good person, and yeah, so you fall in love with him, and he's really good. And yeah, like I said, Will Ferrell really, really good in this role. He's really great, and yeah, just everything about it is really good. I just love it so much. Every year I try and watch this movie. Trying to think of. Oh yeah, it's got Peter Dinklage in it. In his probably one of the few times he actually played a little person, if you know what I mean. But which is quite a funny scene. And yeah, just again, nothing else to really say about Elf. It's just really fun, and I really love it. I know a lot of people don't like it, and I don't. I guess I get why. I guess I can understand why people don't like it, but I don't. I'm sorry. Like, for Christmas, you need something a little bit cheesy. You need a little bit of cheese in it, and I think Elf is the perfect movie for me with that. Next up, okay, so this is now technically the kind of Christmas, but also not. So first up, we've got Gremlins, which I guess is Christmas. Yeah, it takes place on Christmas, doesn't it? I think so. I only watched this not that long ago, but yeah, it's a Christmas movie. Yeah, Gremlins is fun. I think this is one of my mum's favourite movies. She has a big Gizmo like plush toy, and she gave it to me a few years ago because I love collecting plush toys. And yeah, not much to really say about this one. It's fun. Obviously, it's quite violent. You know, like it's almost like the antithesis of what a Christmas movie should be, and I guess that's probably why it's been like beloved so much. Are they doing another Gremlins movie? I believe. Yeah, I read somewhere that they might be doing another Gremlins film. They're doing a third one. Because I know there's Gremlins 2, which I haven't seen, but I would like to watch that at some point. But yeah, I don't know if a third Gremlins movie would work. But then again, that's the era we're in now. Just pointless sequels to movies that don't need them. But yeah, Gremlins is fun, huh? Next up, so again, these are now the movies that aren't about Christmas, but you kind of watch them around Christmas time. They kind of feel Christmassy, and that's first off, we've got Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the original one, and just mentioned, I guess, got Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as well. Well, it's not really a remake, is it? It's just another adaptation. So I haven't seen this one in years. I bought it specifically so I could watch it, but I haven't found time to watch it yet. So I'm just going to take that one away now. But I don't really have. I just remember I watched it once, and I think I liked it. But obviously now people sort of say it's nowhere near as good as the original one. I would like to give it a try. I don't really like Johnny Depp's portrayal in it. I just feel like he tries a bit too much to be like Michael Jackson type. I just don't. To me, that's not Willy Wonka. He's just. To me, Willy Wonka isn't that character. For me, Gene Wilder is Willy Wonka. I'll just take that one away now, so I can talk about this one, because this movie, I love this movie. I love Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I remember when I was younger, I think it was actually in the lead up to that, the new one coming out, they on Cartoon Network and that, on those channels, they just kept playing this movie. So I think I spent the whole day watching it in parts. So I think I ended up, by the end of the day, I did watch all of it, but I didn't watch it all in one sitting. But yeah, I just really love it. It's just really good. Again, Gene Wilder is he just is Willy Wonka, and I really do like his portrayal of the character. I think I picked this up for two reasons. One, I love the movie, and I really wanted to have it in a collection. But also because I saw it I saw the musical of this last year, and one of the things I want to do is I want to buy DVDs of the films that I've gone to see musicals of. So I went to see Alf as well, so I've got that one. I've got Lion King, Back to the Future, I've got those ones. But yeah, Willy Wonka, the musical was alright. It's definitely my least favourite of all the ones I've seen, but it definitely works as a musical, because obviously this film is a musical and all that. But yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah, this movie's brilliant and I love it all. I love it. I also will say I did see that Wonka movie as well. You know, the one with the sort of the origin story of Wonka, which I thought was going to be really bad. Actually, not terrible. Actually, really quite liked it. I mean, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I mean, it was made by the same guy who did the Paddington movie, so of course it was going to be good. But yeah, if you were on the fence of watching that one, I'd give it a try. It's actually pretty good. But yeah, this one is still king. And last up for the Christmas section, Wizard of Oz. Yep, the classic. We only watched it for the first time last year. This one's my mum's favourite movie. This is my mum's favourite film. So we watched it together over Christmas, and yeah, it's just, like I say, it's just a classic. It's kind of a movie that you have to see. If you've never seen it, then you kind of really need to. I feel like you'll get people will be shocked if you haven't seen it. I think that's the same with me, just I hadn't seen it. So, but yeah, it's just charming. I think is the right word. It's just charming, and I'd say it has aged well. You can still watch it nowadays. There's a reason why it still gets aired all the time. Yeah, it's really, really good. Really loved it. Really fun. Speaking of musicals, we're actually going to be seeing Wicked this year as well, so I'm quite excited to see that. Because I think there's a movie adaptation of Wicked coming out this year as well, so might be if I enjoy the musical, I might go and see the film, but it'll probably suck because that's what adaptations are like. But yeah, Wizard of Oz. If you haven't seen this yet, then yeah, you really should. Next up, now we're at the adaptations section, so we'll start with the video game adaptations, and first up, Detective Pikachu. I like this movie. I feel like people don't really like this one that much, and I don't get why. I think it's really good. I really enjoyed this one. I think this actually might be my favourite of the video game adaptations. I just really like the content. I like the fact that they used the Detective Pikachu game for this one. I think it was a better idea of doing that than just doing a regular Pokemon movie, because I think that'd be quite hard to do a movie that's based on the actual games. They could give it a go. I guess they could try and do it, but I just feel like Detective Pikachu was the right way to do it. And Ryan Reynolds surprisingly does work as Detective Pikachu. I think it's obviously the dissonance of the joke is that Ryan Reynolds plays this guy, and I really love the live action portrayals of all the Pokemon. They all actually really do look good. I think they're all really great. And that guy, Justice Smith, he was good as well in the movie. I think they all did well. Obviously, it's got Bill Nye in it as well, which is quite weird. You don't expect to see him in a movie like this. But yeah, really, really like this one. If you haven't seen this, I would definitely give it a go. It's obviously not amazing, but I do think it's quite fun, and I really do love it. Yeah, I just remember going to see this in the cinemas, and it was just that glorious moment of seeing Pokemon on the big screen and how weird that was, and hearing the Pokemon music and everything. It was this feels so bizarre, because this was I guess you could say this was the first like big Nintendo film. I mean, I know Pokemon's a bit different because it's had the anime and that, but this was the first time to see like a big Nintendo franchise like on the big screen, which of course then led to the Mario movie and we're going to be getting the Zelda movie soon. And yeah, but yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, I would give it a go. It's fun. Yeah, but now we get to the two big video game adaptations that everyone knows. I'll just do these together because Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic 2. Yeah, I like both of these movies. I don't like saying this word, but I kind of find it to be a tad overrated. Like, I do think they are both great, but I do feel like they get maybe a bit too much praise. I mean, Sonic 1 is fun. It's fine, but it does have a tad of the like Alvin and the Chipmunks Smurfs style of, oh, it's Sonic, but he's in our world, and it's like, why? Our world's boring. Why do we have to go to our world? And Sonic 2 is definitely better because it brings in Tails and Knuckles, and obviously, like, all the tropes of the games are there, and it feels like it fits well. It's not just fan servicey. Like, there's that section where they go to a place that looks like Labyrinth Zone, and that's cool. And it actually fits for Labyrinth Zone. You get the Death Egg Robo, and then the ending where Sonic goes supersonic. Oh man! And when I was in the cinema for that, I was so excited. I was so pumped. But yeah, I would say I definitely do like these movies, but I wouldn't say that they're the best ever. So, but obviously, I'm super excited for Sonic 3. Literally the day after I'm recording this, the day before I recorded this, they announced that Keanu Reeves is playing Shadow, and I think it'll be a good fit. I think that was kind of who we were all thinking of, was Keanu Reeves, and I think he'll play a good Shadow. I think he's if you had to get a celebrity in, I think Keanu Reeves is a good shout, and I'm super excited to see that. That's the movie I'm excited for. I'm super excited for Sonic 3. That's gonna be my big movie of the year. Yeah. And last up for video game adaptations, kind of a weird one that I didn't expect to like sort of enjoy, but Gran Turismo, yeah, based on the so it says it's based on a true story. It's called Gran Turismo, but it's not like it's a game adaptation, but also not, because like obviously it's based on, you know, the game, but it's based on a true story that's related to the game. So basically, it's this guy, well, I can't remember his name. His name. Oh, it doesn't say. Why does it not say on the box? His name was like Jan or something. Like he was like so he won like a competition with Gran Turismo to then become an actual real life driver, and that's what this movie is. It's like a true story about, obviously like true in that they obviously make some stuff up, which is fine. Like it's a movie, you know. But I just really liked the story. It was like a really cool, obviously proper underdog story, and it was done in like a really good way. David Harbour was really good in it. He's like sort of like the coach, and like starts off like really gruff, but then he becomes like friendly and that. Orlando Bloom is not in it that much. Like he's clearly only there because it's like name recognition and all that, but he's really not in it that much. I want to say he's like only in like 5 scenes or something. But obviously, you know, he's the big star, so you have to like advertise that he's here. But yeah, I would actually give it a go. I mean, I've never really played the Gran Turismo games, but I just liked the story of it, and I really enjoyed it, and I would really recommend you go and check it out. It's really good, really fun, huh? Alright, so we'll now continue on with other adaptations. So first up, we've got, I guess, linked to the video game stuff, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I love this film. This film's so much fun. This movie is great. It's so good. So good. So obviously Edgar Wright back again. I mentioned how much I love Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, and this movie is just, it's the perfect director for it, and also all the acting is great. Michael Cera's great. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, if I pronounce it. Yeah, she's good as well. All the cast in this movie is good. It's got Chris Evans in it, like before he became Captain America, which is quite fun. I mean, it's also got the Superman in it as well. Like the guy who went to play Superman in that Superman Returns movie, he's in it. Like there's. Oh, and yeah, Kieran Culkin, Macaulay Culkin's brother, who's now like massive in Succession. It's a surprisingly like packed cast for this movie. I think Aubrey Plaza's in it as well, Anna Kendrick. Like, there's so many stars in this, actors in this movie who went on to become big stars. It's quite surprising. And then they all came back for the animated series, which was really cool as well. Which I guess shows how much they like cared for this franchise. They all, even though they're all big stars now, they still came back for to do with the animated thing. But yeah, like it's just fun. It's just so much fun. I love how it's like sort of like a video game, and I've never actually read the graphic novel. I should. I'm not that good at reading books though, so I don't know if I would be able to actually be able to do it. But Yeah, this one's really, really fun. I really like it. Yeah, there's Chris Evans. Yeah, so again, so funny that he went on to be a big star, and then when this was like one of his first few movies, I think it's like, isn't it like Chris Evans like surprisingly holds like a record for like being in the most sort of comic book movies as different characters? Because obviously the famous one is he played Captain America and he played Human Torch in the original Fantastic Four. He's in this one. I think there's another comic book movie he was also in. It's just weird how Chris Evans seems to be that actor who's been in almost every comic book adaptation. But yeah, if you haven't seen this movie yet, absolutely do. It's really fun. Next up, I haven't seen this one in years, but I have got it on DVD because I really want to watch it. Scooby-Doo the movie, the original one, the original live-action one. Yeah, I mean, I feel like these kind of movies are getting a bit of a resurgence nowadays. Obviously, it's Matthew Lillard who now plays Shaggy in the cartoon, which is really cool. But yeah, like it feels like when these movies came out, they were really hated. No one liked them, but now. Obviously, because like the people who grew up with them are now older, and I feel like they are people now looking at them more closely and seeing actually they are actually quite fun. I need to rewatch it. That's why I bought it. I just haven't found the time to watch it. I really need to, but like, yeah. I mean, again, like I say, I don't have a lot of like. I don't remember a lot about it because I was very young when I watched this. I do remember watching it when I was very young, but again, that was years ago, and I really didn't remember anything about it. But yeah, I really need to watch it again because it does. I think it is. Again, I think, like I said, people really do enjoy it, and people have gone back to it and said actually it's really good. I know that this was like there was a lot of like changes in development. It was supposed to be R-rated or something because it's actually directed by James Gunn, who does the Guardians movies and is going to do the new DC films. So James Gunn was the director of this, and apparently it was going to be really like R-rated and like sort of adult, and like so like Shaggy was going to 100% be a stoner. I think Velma was definitely going to be a lesbian and that, but then they kind of like I think this was after another film they did, was like Jazzy and the Pussycats or something like that, which was also like kind of adult-ish, but that really underperformed, so they got cold feet, so they decided just to do like it in a PG era, PG sort of style. Which I think is best. I don't know, the whole idea of like adult Scooby... Well, as we saw with Velma, the whole idea of adult Scooby-Doo doesn't work. But then I guess that was the least of Velma's problems. But, I mean, maybe adult Scooby-Doo could work. I don't know, I just really don't like the whole... Oh, we're going to take this childish thing, but we're going to make it adult. I just find that to be so ironically childish. Like, I really don't like it when they shows do that. Like, Scooby-Doo was fine as it is. It's just a wholesome, lovely show, and I don't like how people keep trying to make him adult. Look at him. Look at Scooby. Look at him. He's so cute. But yeah, I need to watch this at some point. I definitely will. Next up, this one's great. The original Ninja Turtles movie, the first one. I think this one's the best one. I 100% think that this is the best Turtles film. I haven't seen 2 or 3 yet, but I know people say that there was a massive like drop-off from this one, especially 3. I watched the animated, the first animated one, you know, the 2007 one. That one was pretty good. I liked that one. The Michael Bay one sucked. Oh, the first Michael Bay one sucks. I actually have a soft spot for the second one. I think the second one they kind of like learned their lesson a little bit. It's still not great, but I do feel like it was better. And the recent one, Mutant Mayhem, yeah, I like that one as well. Again, I didn't like it as much as everyone else. I felt like it felt too reliant on like pop culture references and that, and I didn't like some of the changes they made. Overall, I think it was good, and some of the changes they kind of like justified some of their changes. But I still think this one's the best one. It feels like it's the only one that really takes itself seriously. Like it's not afraid to be dark. The puppets are really good. The puppetry, like it's held up really well. Like even though they're like big like Jim Henson puppets, you still believe that they're there, and that's really good as well. You know, got April and Casey, they're good. Shredder's good in this movie as well. Yeah, I just think this one, if you haven't seen this one yet, you really should. I still stand by that. I think this is like, I almost want to say it's kind of underrated in a way, because I feel like it doesn't get as much love as it should. I really think this movie is good. And it's also like not nostalgia talking here, because I only watched this like for the first time maybe a few years ago now, and I really did like it. Again, you really need to watch this one. This one is easily my favourite of the Turtles films. Next up, speaking of underrated movies, Alita Battle Angel. Yeah, remember this movie came out? Yeah, I kind of feel like people don't talk about this movie as much anymore, which is a shame, because if I remember rightly, this came out right alongside Captain Marvel, so it kind of got overshadowed a little bit, which was such a shame, because this movie is so much better than Captain Marvel. Like, again, I haven't seen this since it came out, but I definitely need to watch it at some point because I think it was because I remember really enjoying it. It just felt like a really cool sort of because it's actually again it's an adaptation. It's an adaptation of a manga, I believe. Like, but surprisingly, it was actually good, which is quite weird because usually those manga adaptations suck. But this one actually is pretty cool. So it's like she's like a cyborg when they like, but the way they sort of see like they sort of CGI her face and they give her like the big anime eyes, which I thought was a really clever idea because it makes her look sort of different. It's kind of like it's Uncanny Valley, but in the right way, where she looks different, but in the right way because she's a cyborg. So it's like she looks different, but also looks like normal, but different enough that she looks weird. And I feel like that was a really good way of doing it. If that makes any sense, probably doesn't. But yeah, I remember really liking this film, and I think it's annoying because it ended on a cliffhanger. But I don't think this movie is going to get a sequel. It's been so many years since this movie came out, and I don't think we're getting a sequel now, which is such a shame because it was good. We need to watch this again. Next up, a movie that I really liked when it came out, but I feel like looking back on it, it's actually not as good as I remember it being. Disaster Artist. So obviously it's got James Franco in it, and we know he's persona non grata now. But so like obviously, if you don't know what this is obviously the telling of the story of how The Room was made, the worst movie ever made, but like the best worst movie ever made because it's so bad that it's great. Hello, Buggy. Yeah, like so. I think like the issue of this movie is, so when I watched this for the first time, I hadn't listened to his book. So it's an adaptation of the book of the guy who plays Mark, Greg Sestero. So Greg Sestero is like an actor in this film, and after this movie like became like a sort of a meme movie where everyone's great looked at it. He wrote a book about it. It was called The Disaster Artist, and you notice that when you read the book alongside watch the film, you realize that the movie kind of like doesn't include a lot. Probably the biggest thing about it is that Tommy Wiseau is like weirdly like in the book like he's really a nasty person, and it's like people kind of said that it seems like him and like him and Greg are in a sort of like a toxic relationship in a way. Like Tommy is kind of borderline abusive at times, like obviously verbally abusive in that, but. And it's like, it feels like this movie kind of glosses over all that, and it glosses over like Tommy's past as well. And I remember Greg, I saw he funny said in an interview that he actually ended up being disappointed with this movie because he felt like it didn't focus on like Tommy's past, which it really should have. And there's just some weird bits they don't mention or don't bring up. Like I think one of the famous examples is there's a character, I think his name's Peter, and like he's in like 2-3 scenes, and then he just disappears to the point where they just introduce another character in like the later part of the movie, and it's because like the actor who was playing him had to do another shoot, and they kept saying to Tommy like, no, I have to go soon. If you want to film the scene now. And then he just didn't film it, so he didn't turn up. And this movie just doesn't bring that up. And it's like, why would you not include that? That's such a funny sort of story. So why would you not include that? And it's just like, again, like I know it's a biopic, so obviously not everything's going to be accurate, but there's just some things that they changed. I'm just like, did you really need to change that? Did you really need to? But yeah, like, again, I haven't seen this in a while. I do want to watch it again because actually, again, having listened to the book. But yeah, I feel like it's just, it's still fun. Like, it is fun the way they sort of, reenact the scenes and all that. And James Franco is like a horrible person that he is. He actually does do a good Tommy impression of Tommy. Like, he does really well at doing the mannerisms and that. But yeah, again, I need to rewatch it again to like get full opinions on it. But I think it's probably not as good as I remembered it being. Next we've got my 2 wrestling movies. First up, I'll just do this one straight away because this is one of my favourite films of all time, The Wrestler. I love this film. This film is just brilliant. Like, Mickey Rourke is so good as the aging Randy, the Ram Robinson. It's almost like a movie that has aged so well in the last few years. Like, when you think about guys like Undertaker and Goldberg, these guys who just refuse to retire. Ric Flair is probably a good example of that. Guys who just never retire when they really should. And this movie, I think, it's almost like no one heeded this movie's advice, when the whole point of this movie is, no, maybe you guys shouldn't continue wrestling. Maybe it is a time to, like, throw in the towel at points. But it's brilliant. I need to watch this movie again. I really do love this movie. And it's so good. And it's like, they really did their homework on, like, wrestling as well. Because, like, this was, like, the first time a movie came out that actually took wrestling seriously. And, like, because you've got proper wrestlers appear as cameos. I think R-Truth, like, has a cameo in it. Claudio Castagnoli has a cameo in it. Like there's just loads of characters loads of wrestlers who just have cameos here, and it's just really fun to see them. Yeah, this movie is brilliant. If you're a wrestling fan, you've never seen this movie, 100% watch this film. This is easily one of my favorite films of all time. Although I will admit, maybe Iron Claw, maybe past it, because I saw Iron Claw about a few months ago now, and that movie was also incredible. It's not on DVD yet, but I'll let you know when that movie comes out on DVD. I will 100% pick it up. But yeah, this movie is phenomenal. You should 100% watch this. Next up, the other wrestling movie I've got, Fight With My Family. So this is obviously the biopic about Paige, or Saraya as she's known now. Yeah, it's just really fun. It's a really nice film. Obviously, like, I see a lot of people criticize this movie for saying, like, oh, it's not accurate to the source material, and oh, they make stuff up and that. It's like, but again, like I say, it's a biopic, and unfortunately, like, you kind of need to know, as long as it's not, like, big changes that, like, completely change, like, parts of, like, real life, I think it's fine. Like, I think they change are okay. Like obviously, like there was no performance center when Paige was there, but like they need to do that for the movie because it's just sometimes you need to change things to make a better story, and I think this movie did it right. Yeah, it's a good casting as well. Obviously, it's Florence Pugh, who has actually gone on to be really big now. Like this was before Black Widow and before June and all those films. It's quite fun to see that this was her like first big role, I guess. Obviously, it's one of those funny things again. Rock's like front and center here. He's only in like 2 scenes. Like he's only in 2. Obviously, he produced it and that, but he's only in it for 2 scenes, and that's just funny about that. Lena Headey, who's big in Game of Thrones. Nick Frost, obviously, he's great. I think my favorite part of this movie is actually surprisingly not Paige. It's actually her brother, Zach Zodiac. They do some really good stuff with him because they do like the tryout and Paige gets selected, but Zach doesn't. So Zach kind of like just sort of spirals down into this like almost depression, like in a way, and it's really good. I remember when OSW reviewed this, V1 made a good point about how you don't see movies about failure a lot, and how it's quite interesting to see a movie about someone failing. Like he doesn't succeed, and it's like, but you know so he falls into a depression, but he gets himself back up, and you know becomes sort of. He teaches a blind kid how to wrestle, and that's like, you know, that's almost like something that should be celebrated. Like, yeah, he didn't make it to WWE, but that doesn't mean he's worthless and that he doesn't touch people and that. And it's, yeah, a really good movie. I really, really enjoyed it. I feel like this movie is a lot better than people say it is. I think, again, people focus so much on the inaccuracies to it, but I think people need to just look at it as a film. I'd say the one bit I don't like is I don't like the minimizing of Paige's NXT run. I know NXT wasn't big when she was in it, but people constantly going about like the women's revolution. Like Paige was really at the start of that in NXT, and it's kind of a shame that they kind of gloss over it. Also, I don't like how the portrayal of AJ Lee. Like they've got Zelina Vega plays AJ, and she actually surprisingly sounds just like her. Like it's almost insane. But they weirdly have her like all dressed up as like almost like other female wrestlers like around the time, like a diva, and it's like that wasn't AJ. She was, you know, she had like that sort of, what would you call it, like that tomboy look, I guess, with like the shorts and that. And I understand why they did it. I think the director said they did it so that they could contrast her with Paige, but I feel like that then does a disservice to AJ, which unfortunately we see a lot in sort of WWE nowadays, which is that they don't like to praise AJ for some reason. And maybe the Punk's back, they can start doing that again, but yeah, it's just a shame. Again, really good movie, and you should watch it. Like I feel like you're only gonna get something out of this if you're a wrestling fan. But I remember Jeremy Johns reviewed this movie, and he said he really enjoyed it as well. So maybe you don't have to be a wrestling fan to enjoy it. Maybe in fact, if anything, maybe it would be better if you're not a wrestling fan because then you don't notice all the inaccuracies that all us weirdos notice. But yeah, absolutely check this out. Really good. And last up, these are kind of like just all the others. Like there's not really a link with these ones. First up, Ghostbusters. Yeah, Ghostbusters was alright. I liked Ghostbusters. I didn't love it, and like I haven't seen this for a while. I watched it like years ago. But yeah, I liked it. I thought it was fun. Yeah, it's just. I mean, it's just a classic. It's kind of a movie you just have to see once because it's Ghostbusters, and Ghostbusters is good. Yeah, not really much else to say on this one. I feel like anyone who knows about Ghostbusters kind of knows, and there's more people to talk about Ghostbusters more than me because I'm not that big into Ghostbusters. But speaking of, next up, Ghostbusters Afterlife. I actually liked this movie. I was surprised to see that people probably didn't like it. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. It's not amazing, But I liked it. I thought it was okay. I guess maybe because people who watched it all saw like the references in that, but of course I didn't because I'm not that big into Ghostbusters, so I didn't really notice all of them. I think the acting's good. Obviously Paul Rudd's there and he's good and everything. He's always good. But yeah, I guess I haven't seen Frozen Empire. I don't really have any interest in seeing it, but again, I didn't mind Afterlife. I thought Afterlife was fun. Next up, E.T. Yeah, E.T.'s good. I like E.T. It was alright. I liked it. It was sweet. E.T.'s just a sweet character, and yeah, really good. Again, not much else to say. It's E.T. You kind of already all know about E.T. Unfortunately, this is the special edition that changes the guns with walkie-talkies, which is a shame, but yeah, it's really good. Obviously, it's iconic, and it's iconic for a reason. And last up, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. I actually really like this movie. I was quite surprised at how much I enjoyed this film and the sequel. Because I remember when this movie was announced, I remember thinking this looked so dumb. Because obviously they go into a video game in this movie, but Jumanji was like a board game, and I remember thinking, oh, that's so dumb. This looks nothing like Jumanji and all that. But then I saw it, and I actually quite liked it. I actually really enjoyed it. I actually like all the Jumanji movies. I like this one. I like the first one, and I like the sequel as well. I assume we'll get a third one. The second one literally ended on a cliffhanger, so I hope we get that third one at some point. But yeah, I actually really liked this movie. I really enjoyed it. I really found it fun. It was nice to sort of see the characters kind of act in different ways. Like, The Rock kind of acts a bit wimpy, which is different for him usually. Kevin Hart was like a big in like because like they get so like the characters like all high schoolers, and they get sucked into the game, and then they become like these avatars. So like Kevin Hart in the real world, he was like this big guy, and then of course it's Kevin Hart, which is quite a nice contrast. Jack Black is the person who's playing him is like a popular girl, and she gets put into Jack Black's body. So Jack Black gets some funny lines in it. Jack Black's great. Like again, Karen Gillan's like the only one who doesn't really get to do anything differently because she kind of just plays herself, I guess, but she's still good in it. I think the second movie's even better because you get The Rock basically playing Danny DeVito, and that's really good. So it's nice to see The Rock actually play some different roles. But yeah, I would 100% give this movie a shot. Like, you should definitely give it a chance because it actually is quite good. Alright, I guess that's it. I will see you next time, which will be the animated movies. Bye everyone.